Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to Ask a Reporter on a very, very special week because this week is City Country Week.
It is!
That's what I'm calling it.
Yes.
The reason that we're doing our City Country special for Ask a Reporter this week is because in this week's show we launched Aussie Classroom Connection. And so for those of you that haven't seen the episode or might want to know a little bit more about it, basically the aim of the whole thing is to set up every country classroom with a city classroom and vice versa so that they can get together, they can write to each other, they can video conference each other. Yeah, get to know each other. Because there's a lot of...
I would have loved to have done that.
I would have loved it too. I would have absolutely loved it.
Pen pals. Did you ever have a pen pal? That was a real thing when we were kids.
I think we did,
We had pen pals. Yeah. I had a pen pal somewhere, but I can't remember where. Overseas, I think.
Yeah. So you could have a pen pal in a country area or a city area. It would be brilliant.
Pretty cool.
So that's what it's all about. So if you haven't signed up already, get your teacher right now. Tell them to sign up on our website right now while you're doing this. Sign up, sign up, sign up. Okay?
He's a good salesman, isn't he?
Sign up.
It's all right.
Sign up. Yeah. Aussie Classroom Connection, get involved. We've got hundreds and hundreds of classes already on there.
Awesome.
City classes are outnumbering country classes by a few.
Ooh,
It's very close, neck and neck, only a few percent in it. So country classes, if you're listening, get involved now.
Yeah, there you go.
Can't let those city guys win.
No.
Yeah.
Ever.
So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about I grew up in the country.
Yes, that's why I was wearing this shirt too. Is this
No,
your...
I just...
No? Oh, I thought this was your farming shirt.
No, it wasn't even a...
Oh, okay.
thing.
And I grew up in the city. Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. And you guys have sent in lots of questions, so we can get to those very soon. But first, do you want to give us a little bit of information about where you grew up, what sort of school you went to, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So I grew up in Adelaide. Am I allowed to say which school I went to?
Well, you don't have
Adelaide
to.
people? Oh, that's all right. Well, I won't say. But I grew up in Adelaide, and I grew up just outside of the city. Adelaide isn't the biggest city compared to somewhere like Melbourne or Sydney, but it's definitely still pretty, metropolitan, they call it. So definitely I'm imagining quite different to growing up in the city, the country. I guess we're better off answering some questions before I go on and on. Oh no, wait, you tell where you grew up.
Yes, so I grew up in country Queensland in an area called the Darling Downs. We lived about 30 minutes out of a town called Dalby. So Dalby's about 10,000 people roughly. And so I went to school in Dalby, but then grew up on a farm about half an hour drive outside of there. So farming kids.
So that's it. You have like the town kids, and then you even have like that one step further where you're actually quite far out.
Yeah, so small town, but then also there's lots and lots of regional kids from farms around the area that would get buses there. Yeah, that half an hour going 100 k's an hour too, not like city traffic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it was about 30k or something like that. So.
Wow, that's very cool.
So that was our farm, and we had mainly grains. So it was like wheat, barley, sorghum, mung beans, chickpeas, which are legumes, but anyway. We did some cotton, sunflowers.
You've got some fun stories about the cotton.
Yes, jumping in big piles of cotton. Okay, we'll get to that later. Okay, so that's what we're sharing.
About my life, but I did. Yeah, well, I grew up in Adelaide, and I lived a lot of my life in a townhouse. So there you go. That's a very city thing. I don't think you see many townhouses in the country.
No.
Small backyard, definitely tiny backyard, little courtyard, basically, and riding our bikes around the suburbs.
That's very
streets.
cool. See, we could never do that. Like, our nearest neighbour was 3k away.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
You're not going to ride your bike to
whereas
that
I was
place.
always making friends with our close neighbours because there were like townhouses everywhere and like a block of townhouses. So.
I was jealous of that.
There you go.
Anyway, so this is
space though.
This is what we're doing. This is what we want classes to do around Australia.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it today, so that we can give you a bit of an idea of the differences and some of the fun similarities that you can learn from each other.
Exactly.
So that's very cool. So we'll get to our questions straight away. Okay. Amelia, would you prefer to live in the country or city? That's from Victoria from Hillside.
Hi, Victoria from Hillside. Would I prefer to live in the country or the city? Well, now, I don't want to offend any country people because I think the country is absolutely beautiful to visit, but I am a city girl through and through, I have to say. Like, I definitely don't actually see myself ever living in the country. I think because I've grown up in the city, it's just kind of always been that way. So it's just what I'm used to, I think. So for me, it's stuff like what appeals about the city? I guess stuff like just having stuff close and being able to go and access things quickly. Also things like, you know, growing up I loved going to the movies and stuff like that, and that was really fun for me, and going to amusement parks and things like that. So you have all that, I guess, in the city, which I kind of enjoy. But that's it. Like, I love the country, but yeah, to that question I would have to say the city. And I'm a really big fan of big cities as well. So I really love, like, Melbourne is one of my favourite cities in the whole world. And I love that real city vibe. And, like, I know it seems really weird to a lot of country people, because so many country people don't really like having so many people around, and that's one of the appeals, right, of being a country, living in the country, is there aren't so many people. But weirdly, I kind of like it when you're walking down the street and there are just people everywhere, like when you're walking down the street in Melbourne. I kind of enjoy it. It's like a bit of a buzz. I find it kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it feels like things are happening.
I do understand that completely. Like, growing up in the country, you don't have access to as many kids to play with or anything like that, especially if you grew up on a farm like me. You know, there aren't that many people around, so really you're sort of left up to your own devices. The good thing is that you get to play with your brothers and sisters a lot, so you get to know them really well.
Yeah.
And you've got lots of space to play, and you've got lots of, you know, machinery to play on, sheds to play in. Like, you just have run of the place.
You would learn a lot of things that I have no idea about. Like, whenever I speak to country friends, they're always like, oh, you're such a city girl, you know. Like, at one point, I remember I had to light a fire, and I really struggled with this. Like, just a fireplace. Is that something a country person can do? Yeah, I really struggled to the point where I had to call somebody to say, can you come and help me light this fire? I think the sticks were wet. If anyone knows how to light a fire, it had been raining.
Rookie mistake.
I know, and I was told, okay, get the Kindle, get the little twigs and stuff. And so I went outside and got them, but didn't really, like, you know, feel them enough to realise that it was wet and that it had been raining, and I was just, it didn't work, and I spent like hours trying to get it done.
Amateur.
I couldn't. So things like that, I mean, I have never been taught those cool things, you know.
Yeah, you do get to learn a lot of that stuff in the country. So there's a lot of benefits to living in the country, and especially growing up in the country too, because you get so much independence, and you can just, you know, wander and have fun and
cool
explore,
pets.
and lots of pets, and there are some, like, tough things, like you often have to do a lot of work on the farm yourself just to help out, because you know, it's kind of all hands on deck kind of
Well,
thing.
I believe, Nathan, because it's both of us this time, that perhaps there might be a question for you.
There's one there.
This is for Nathan. Would you prefer to stay
Hi.
on the farm or live on the city? And that's from Gus.
Hi,
from
Gus.
Hillside as well.
Thanks.
I like having the iPad.
I thought about the guy. Sorry, what was the
Would
question?
you, would you prefer to stay on the farm or live in the city? He's not used to this.
Okay. That is a tough question. I think I would make a terrible farmer, so that's why I'm here and not there.
Despite the shirt.
Yeah, like, the shirt is literally the only part of it I can do. Because I think I would find it very stressful. Because the thing about growing up on a farm, and especially like a grain farm like we grew up in, but a lot of types of farm, is that you're so reliant on the weather. Because if it doesn't rain, then your crops don't grow, and everything can go really badly, not just for you, but for your family and all the people around you as well. So it's a very stressful way, I think, to make a living. However, it's an amazing lifestyle for people that choose to be there, and like, my dad loved it, loves growing crops, and so for him it was perfect, and he had a real interest in it. For me, I would have found it far too stressful, which is why I'm here doing this, because I find this far less stressful than that. So I'm glad I'm not on the farm now, but growing up on the farm was very cool. And it's not until you look back at all the things you get to do that a lot of other kids wouldn't get to do that you go, oh, that was really fun.
You kind of got the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, in some ways.
A little bit, because you got to do both.
Yeah.
Whereas I might probably never get to live in the country. Well, I have another question for you. There is always time. There is always time. I could. I don't think I'd be very good at it. What do you guys think? Probably not. I don't know. I mean, the fire thing doesn't bode well.
It's not a day-to-day task. So you can learn.
Every day in winter.
We'll teach you.
I have another question for you.
Okay.
Is it tough working on a farm and going to school at the same time? This is Audrey from Hillside as well. You actually just touched on this briefly before.
I did. It can be, yes. Like there are times, especially with certain types of crops and things like that, where say my dad, when we were growing cotton, would be picking cotton for maybe 18 hours of the day if the conditions were right. And so he would be going nearly all the time, and then he'd stop, have a quick sleep, and then keep going for a couple of weeks. And so during those times, we had to help out where we could. And so there was even times it was really, really busy where we'd have to stay home from school and help. We didn't do that much, but there was just a couple of days that we would do that here and there. And so it can be very hard work when you're doing that, because even, you know, on weekends, instead of, you know, catching up with friends in town, you would be on the farm, and a lot of the time you would you know, be able to help out somewhere, so you would. So
this is a lot of
there's a lot of jobs to do
as well. He seems to be doing the same sort of things. Like he's really helping his dad a lot.
Yeah,
even in school holidays.
I think Angus did a lot more work than we did on the farm.
Oh, really?
We tried to get out of it as much as possible.
Hardworking boy, he's great.
Yeah, we
tried to get out of it.
Yeah, we tried to get out of it all the time.
Yeah.
We still did do a lot, but we tried to get out of it. So Angus was better.
Angus is doing amazingly.
Are you enjoying this?
So,
asking the questions bit?
I'm loving this. Can you tell? I've got the control for one.
The city girl there with the iPad.
Basley. Yeah. That's my Nathan Basley voice.
Oh,
we all have one. Okay, so here's one for you again. A country kid's really allowed to drive a car to their gate. That's Jack from Miss Curran's class.
Hi, Jack. Technically, yes. So the rules basically are around who can drive a car and having to have a license and all of those sorts of things relate to being on public roads. So as long as you're on private property, which most farms are, then you can drive a car. So I started driving at about 10, I think.
Wow, that is 10. So cool. Wow.
And because you needed to, because we needed to be able to go and drive up the paddock to do some chipping of weeds or things like that. So we'd have to drive there, otherwise we'd have no way of getting there, because there's so many open spaces that you need to be able to do that. And so we drove all sorts of things. We drove tractors and headers and big trucks and things like that, but just on the farm itself where we were allowed to, and never on the roads.
It's amazing. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't get to do that in the city.
No.
So where did you go to primary school? Like, did you go to a big school or close by, or what?
Primary school, I can't remember how many kids were there. Maybe 200-300, maybe.
Oh, so that's quite a lot.
It's a decent sized one, I think. It was in Dolby in Queensland.
Okay.
Is where I went
so
to
how long
primary
did it take you to get to school?
The bus took a lot longer because we had to pick up people, so maybe 45-50 minutes.
Oh, that's
maybe.
a long time. Because we have a question from Genevieve from Miss Curran's class. Is it common to be the only boy/girl in the grade in country schools like Angus?
Yeah, in small schools, I know that's definitely true. There was a school down from us that we didn't go to, but it would have been our closest school, that there was only 4 or 5 kids in the whole school.
Wow.
And so there was one teacher, and the teacher taught all of those kids in whatever grade they were up to.
Wow.
And so
you have to be very,
you just have to be friends with the kids that are there. I think 2 or 3 of them were even siblings.
Teacher as well.
So it's kind of like just being in the same class as your brother and your sister, and then 2 other random kids.
Yeah, wow.
And that's the whole school.
That? You'd hope you got along really well, like that you'd become probably good friends, right?
Fights could get awkward.
They're good with slow little people. Well, you know what? I should probably give this back to you if you like.
Oh.
But I actually have a question, because I want to go back to like the pets thing, because I like animals.
Okay.
What kind of animals did you have? Did you have horses and things?
No, I know that's the kind of the stereotypical country thing is like, there would have been horses and cows and lots of. Because we were a grain farm, we didn't have any horses or cows or things like that. We had 2 dogs and 2 cats and a goldfish and a bird.
Yeah.
As
still
pets.
Quite a lot.
But that was it.
Okay.
We didn't have any other pets.
We
had a duck for a while called Duck.
See, we couldn't even have a duck called Duck. Creative.
I named that.
Baby Nathan, little Nathan, very creative. Because we had like just this small townhouse for like, not all of my life, but quite a lot of my young life. We had mice. They were our pets. And we couldn't have a dog because
They
there
were
wasn't
pet
enough
mice,
space.
they weren't just mice in your
Oh
house.
yeah, they weren't just mice in the house.
okay.
Like they weren't foraging for cheese. No, we actually had them. And I remember I had a couple of them. And then at one stage we did actually manage to have guinea pigs.
Oh.
But they were just kept like out in a cage, and they're pretty messy. I remember one was called Midnight, or was that the mouse? Anyway, there was another mouse we had called Hoppy, and it would constantly just jump and hit its head. Like hit its nose on the thing, but it was obsessed with just jumping all the time, so it's called Hoppy.
Oh.
But yeah, so that was the pet that we had. Those were the pets that we had for a long time. At one stage we had birds, but it was always like, and cats as well. We've had some cats, but you could never have a dog because it was too small. Yeah, and I mean you could have like a small dog, but yeah, we just never did because it was a bit too difficult, and you wouldn't have any space for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's something I missed out on, was having that sort of like space to run around. But I mean there are lots of people who live sort of in outer suburbs of the city who can still have big backyards and things. Yeah, but we were quite, like in a small space, kind of closer to the city. Just a couple of suburbs away.
Upside to that though, no chance or less chance of getting things like snakes in your house.
That's true. Did that happen to you?
Did. A couple of times.
See, maybe that's why I don't have like a massive fear of snakes.
Yeah, I've got a big fear
I like
of snakes.
snakes. I think snakes
Hate
are cool.
snakes.
Isn't that funny? I
they're
really
everywhere.
like snakes.
Everywhere. Snakes. Just,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's scary.
It was very dangerous too, because if you get bitten by a snake, we were really too far away from medical treatment to...
Did you have like a plan? Like, did you have like a first aid kit with stuff in it?
Yeah. We got training from when we were really little about how to dress like a snake bite, and we had a plan that basically was get in a car and drive as fast as you can.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, luckily it never happened,
so
but we had some close calls.
You would have to have driven then?
Yeah, well, if I was well enough, or if someone else was there, then
yeah.
driven that. But yeah, it was because we'd have to like meet an ambulance on the way to have a chance to get there in time. So we just had to dress it and go. But luckily, never happened.
That's lucky. That is lucky.
Very lucky.
I think now would be a good time as well, maybe for the cotton story, because I like the cotton story.
The cotton story.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The thing.
Okay, so part of growing cotton, this is a fun little side thing for cotton, is that basically to move cotton, so you pick all the cotton and you've got all this loose cotton there, and you know what cotton like cotton balls, like it's fluffy and it's soft and it's really nice. So you've got these big machines full of cotton, and then they have to get it to the place where the cotton gets processed. It's called a gin. And so the way that they do that is they kind of have something like this. We've got a prop. I just made this up. Okay, so basically they make it into a big block of cotton that's been compacted. Okay, and so this would be like
this was filled with like little cotton balls. Anyway.
Yeah, this would be like the size of it, like a half townhouse or something. Like it's a big block of cotton. And so what they do is the big machines come in and they dump the cotton into this like metal cage type thing, and then there's this foot that comes along and goes compacts it down and compacts it down and compacts it down, and you keep doing that every time you put more cotton in. So you fill it right up, and then you compact it, and then this thing drives off and it leaves like this big building-like thing of cotton, and then a truck comes along with these little pulleys underneath, and or like a little chain thing underneath, and it goes underneath it and picks it up, and then takes it to the thing. So it's about the size of a semi-trailer by the end.
Like is it like rectangular at that point?
Yeah,
so like
long rectangle kind of thing. Like if you ever see a trailer on the back of a big truck, that's about the size of like the big trailers. Whoa. That's just all cotton. Anyway, so while you're doing this, so that they'd put the cotton in here.
Not while you're doing it.
No, not while you're doing it. No, that would be very dangerous. While you're doing that, you're putting the cotton in. We would sit there and jump in it while it was really soft and fluffy and things like that. So it's like a big pool of cotton, and you can just jump in and do Mickey flips. And
it looks amazing. I love that.
So much fun.
That is so cool. So if you go and look up this cotton thing, you will be like, that would be the most fun thing to do. The funnest thing to do.
So you do get those sorts of things in the country. You get to experience some really fun things like that that you wouldn't get to do in the city. The only unfortunate thing is most of the time you can't share it with friends because they're too far away.
Aww.
So you share it with your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good story.
Let's go to an Amelia question now.
I don't know if there are... Well, you can see if you can find one.
Oh, there is.
I can tell you in the meantime how I got to school.
Oh, yes.
I walked.
You were that close?
Yeah, it was that close. So
That's
I walked
brilliant.
to school. So it was just like... Yeah, like it was quite a few streets, but yeah, not that far. Maybe 20-minute walk. So like my mum would walk us, and then when I got a bit older, we'd just walk on our own, and then we would just ride our bikes. So it was pretty good.
That's very
It was
cool.
nice, because you didn't have to be driven. You could just
walk.
get
yeah.
there. Yeah.
I really like that actually.
It was
would be
pretty
really
fun.
nice to walk there.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, sitting on the
Riding
bus got
bikes was
boring.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to
Yeah.
have ridden a bike.
Yeah.
I would have
was good.
loved to ride my bike there. I would have thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then like high school was just the bus again. But, yeah.
Was high school further away?
The high school was further away. Yeah.
Yeah.
High school, and it's still not that far though. Like, it's pretty good. I don't know. 20 minutes?
Oh,
Everything's 20 minutes in my head.
felt like 20 minutes at the time.
But yeah,
okay.
and then you just, talk to the bus friends. So that was alright.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it was like the bus went straight through the city, so you'd pick up all the kids in the city, and everyone would always get on there, and like after school you could go into the city and go shopping and stuff like that. So
Oh, cool.
that was cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Cool stuff like that was a good city.
Leah wants to know, is education different in the city or the country? So what was your class like and your school?
What was my primary school like? Bigger, definitely bigger than what Angus's was. I can't remember how many students we had now, but it was quite a few. Definitely more than 42. But yeah, I don't know. We did still have, those mixed classes where we'd have like 4, 5 or 5, 6 or whatever sometimes, depending. But yeah, there were probably maybe like 30, sometimes like 30 kids in a class, I reckon. So it's quite a lot. That's almost Angus's whole school in a class.
That's a lot.
So it was a pretty popular school. So there were a lot of kids there. But yeah, I don't know. What did we do? We'd go on excursions. Like we went to the aquatic centre and stuff like that. Did you
That's
ever
cool.
do things like that?
Oh,
We'd have to just drive a little
There was a
while.
pool in Dolby,
Okay,
but
yeah.
we didn't go on many excursions because there's not many places to go.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like excursions were a pretty regular thing.
Yeah.
The aquatic centre was one of my favourites.
That'd be fun.
But what about you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was all the same. Like
You still have the same curriculum. You're still
yeah,
learning
all the same
things.
kind of lessons and things like that. Yeah, excursions were a little bit harder. This is all obviously back before the days of the internet, so
Yes.
like you couldn't just sort of email people and things like that. So communication was a bit tougher, but I think everyone would kind of. The good thing was everyone kind of knew each other to a degree, or they knew each other's families, or they had some kind of connection between each other. So no one was really strangers as such. So that was nice.
Yeah.
And you'd meet the same people and know the same people going from primary school to high school and things like that, because
that's
everyone went to
nice.
one main high school in
Whereas
town,
there
so.
were like so many different high schools that you could go to. So I actually ended up going to one with only like no one from my primary school.
Yeah.
And just one friend that I sort of knew from outside of school. So I had to start anew.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was fun in its own way. But
Yeah, I
yeah, that's
suppose
funny,
so.
isn't it? It would be nice to kind of know that you like growing up in like more of a community.
Yeah.
I don't think that was really something that I got so much. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it still wasn't a small town. There's like Angus's town was much smaller, and other towns are smaller still. But yeah, I think most people either knew each other or knew of each other to a degree,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah.
We've got lots of questions here about Angus.
Yeah.
And so you were talking to Angus
try
along the
and
way, so we'll just do a
answer some.
quick round. Just say yep or no if you don't know the answer,
Okay.
and we'll go through these. These are
I might have to send these to Angus.
from Miss Curran's class. Does Angus get lonely being the only boy in his grade? From Bisman.
Oh,
No idea?
well, I don't really know, but he didn't say he did. He actually said he really liked it, and that the girls kept him in line, and I liked that.
That's
but
a bit
yeah,
cool.
don't know about that one's probably for Angus to answer really.
How does Angus get to school from Ruck?
Yeah, so Angus gets driven to school. It's a 10 minutes drive away. He was telling me, or he said in his story as well.
Closer than you.
So yeah, it was really
Although
close
again,
actually.
driving 100
But I
k's an
loved
hour,
it because
so.
he was saying that like his friends were in the town, and they're all like 2 minutes to get to school because they could just walk. And it was like,
That'd be
yay, but I've got to go 10 minutes.
Mm.
Like, and then Amelia in Melbourne, she had to go like, how long was it? Maybe like 30 minutes or
30,
something?
40 minutes on the train, I
30,
think,
40
yeah.
minutes on the train. Yeah, so there you go. And yet you'd probably have some kids like you who would be driving from really far out to get to the town to go to school and
it depends what you find.
yeah, and then you'd have a few people in Melbourne who might be living in the city and get school in a few minutes as well. So it depends where you're living.
Next one,
What else we got?
there was another one here. How many shops or other things are there in Angus's town? That's
How
from
cool
Tanisha.
does Hughenden look? I really want to
The
go
dinosaur?
to Hughenden now. Yeah, how amazing is that? The Muttaburrasaurus. I like that one. Hope that's right.
It was.
Yeah, it was, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man, it looks like such a cool place because that's on the dinosaur trail. So lots of dinosaur bones and fossils were found in that area and surrounding towns, which is so cool. But yeah, what was the question? How many shops?
How many shops?
I don't really know, but it looked pretty
It's a good
small.
milkshake shop though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good milkshake shop.
Looked
I
good.
think that they're about, I said about 1,000. I think it's maybe like 1,100 is the population in the town of Hughenden. It probably doesn't include like surrounding people who go there and that's their closest town. But yeah, it looked pretty small, but I haven't actually been there, so I'm not entirely sure. But maybe you could look up a little bit more about it. But one thing is for sure, dinosaurs and milkshakes. So
awesome.
Worth visiting.
Thank you very much to Angus for sharing his story there too. That was fantastic.
And to Amelia.
And Amelia as well, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so good getting their perspectives and that's why we wanted to do that with them, and we wanted to have us to talk about it a little bit too. So that gives you an idea of the kinds of like things you could say to or ask kids from the classes that you get paired up with.
And if they happen to have the same name as you, and it's such a great name, well, that's just a bonus, isn't it?
Amelia.
Amelia. It's close enough though.
Yeah, different letter though, isn't it?
No, well,
different letter.
It's the same.
And Pavithran actually asked, what inspired BTN to compare city and country life? And this is literally conversations like this, so that
that's it.
city people can know more about country people and some of the good things and some of the bad things, and country people can know more about city people and some of the good things and bad things. We think that's a really important thing for kids all around Australia to have an appreciation of, because there's so many different lifestyles that you can have in Australia, so it's really important to know how some other kids in the country live. And that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for all your questions, guys.
Thank you very
Great
much.
questions.
Have I mentioned today that you should register for Aussie Classroom Connection on our website?
I don't think he has. Has he
you should register for Aussie
No,
Classroom
not
Connection on our
once.
website. We want as many classes as possible, so please.
But Nathan,
I beg of you.
week?
Next week we are talking school funding.
Ooh.
They're talking about the school funding changes.
Jack.
Yep, Jack is going to be in the hot seat right there. And we're talking school funding changes. They're talking about them in federal parliament this week, and it's something I know a lot of like school principals are talking about with parents, and you might have even taken notes home from principals to your parents to talk about what the funding changes might mean. And so we're going to explain how schools are funded in Australia, because mostly your parents wouldn't even know. So we're going to tell you so you can tell them.
Perfect. And our time is up.
Actually, we're over time. Sorry.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.